how did you get from teaching back to IT, or like what made you switch into IT?
So basically, I am one of the kind of people who got into this IoT field very early on.
Right.
So from the university, I built this company, which is an IoT company. And then eventually we started growing this IoT company to build applications and stuff like that. We were not very successful because we are all technologists at heart.
Right.
We did not have any business background when we started this.
Right.
So, not a very successful company, but still we did a lot of work around IoT and stuff like that. And that is what actually eventually this company was kind of, it licensed its IoT technology to a Dutch company. And
Right.
that is how I got into building products and stuff like that. So then eventually I decided to move on to Infogen. So that is how I came into IT services.
Right. So, like you mentioned, you tried your hands at the company. It probably didn't work out much, but definitely taught you a lot, I'm sure. And you must have seen a lot of ups and downs, of course. So, we want to know, what is the hardest challenge, you've had to overcome in your life?
In my life, the hardest challenge was the passing away of my father, because he was the closest person to me and I could talk to him about things. That was the most difficult challenge of my life, I would say. Everything else we can manage, but losing someone close and dear to you, you can never get them
Yes.
back. And that
That
was
is
a
true.
difficult moment for me.
I'm really sorry for your loss, but
Mhm.
yes, I can only imagine uh, it is very difficult. How do you, I mean, I'm sorry to delve into these questions, but how do you get out of such a grave loss and still, come back to work, still try and focus into work and go ahead? Because I feel that that is so difficult to manage because your head is elsewhere. I'm pretty sure there are so many thoughts going on in your head. So how did you manage to, say that, yes, this happened, but here I am. I need to still move on. Like, what went on through your mind?
Well, at that stage, there are a lot of thoughts that come to your mind as to mm, why it has happened to me at such an early age, why things like these happen. But then you come out of it eventually by, diverting your mind into other places. So one of the things that I took to was cycling. I love cycling, and Netherlands is a heaven for cycling.
Right.
So usually I just take my bike out, do a 20-kilometer ride, and come back.
Oh,
So that gives you a different feel. You're outside, you look at things, you enjoy the scenery and so on, and that freshens up your mind.
true,
So
true.
slowly you start coming out of it. You start reading. I like to read a lot. So usually I'm reading a lot of books. Uh, I'm reading on the internet. So these things help you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. Is there anything apart from cycling and reading that you do to maybe, let go of certain things? Because there are a lot of pressures at work as well, right? So how do you leave those, or what do you do to leave those pressures aside and say that, hey, I need a break? What do you do apart from cycling and reading that
So
kind of takes your head away?
usually I listen to old Hindi songs. I'm a big fan of those. And I do kind of, some short programs on how an old Hindi film song was made.
Oh, wow.
So I have gathered a lot of knowledge over a period of years about music directors, how they composed a song, how did they do the lyrics and stuff like that. How did they come about creating a beautiful song? So usually I do that. I participate in, we have got a Marathi Mandal here, for example. So I participate in that,
Nice.
have friends. Cooking is something which is my passion. So usually I love to cook. So that all takes away the stress from your head. And that gives you a chance to also think about if you're trying to solve a problem, if you're sitting in front of the computer and you cannot solve it, sometimes, while cooking, you can solve it. For
Right.
example, like when I was doing my PhD, I had, failures in my experiments, and which is normal. about 126 times. So the
Wow.
127th time, how I became successful was I was sleeping, and in my head, I was dreaming about the code that I need to write, right? I woke
Nice.
up at 2 in the morning, wrote the code, and it worked, which was a miracle, right?
Wow.
So I sent it to my professor. I sent it to him and said, "Hey, here is what I've done in an email, and this is what I've achieved." So I get the reply back from him at 2:30 in the morning saying, "Let's meet at 7." And because he was also excited to see that.
Right. Right.
And that is how things happen. So sometimes you might not be able to think about it while sitting in front of the computer. You might not be able to solve a problem, but then just walk away, take a deep breath, think about it, and you can basically solve any problem.
That is amazing. Genius minds at work even while sleeping. That is
Yeah.
amazing.